Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to my questions and answers video. I don't know if I've ever made one of these. Honestly, I don't make a lot of regular videos at all, but it's time for me to make one. So in our Discord server, I have started a questions and answers channel, and now the people who posted in there get to have their questions answered. So if you were in our Discord, you could have asked me whatever you wanted to ask me. I don't care, I'll answer it. So let's see what we got. Starting out, we have Mr. J Ransom says, first, me. It's not a question. Rage Quit Bit. Mr. Rage Quit. So how are you today? He says, how to become pokey wealthy from scratch. Well, it's really straightforward. You have to buy something cheap and then sell it for more than you paid for it, and do that over and over and over again. If you can do that in high volume, you will get wealthy. If you can't do that in high volume, you might make a little pocket change. And so doing it in high volume is essential. I would say it's very competitive right now. I think everyone's figured out you can make money from Pokemon cards, and because it's a fun thing to do, everyone wants to do it. So it's extremely competitive right now. And so Pokewealth isn't the only thing you can work on. There's many different things in life that you can trade. For example, I just bought this house, and I think I bought it under market price. So when I go to sell it, I can make a chunk of money from that. Well, what's weird is I worked so hard to make a little bit of money from Pokemon cards, and I think when I sell this house, I'm going to make like $200,000. So if I was just buying and selling properties and renting them out, weirdly, I think I might have gotten wealthier faster, because with property, there's a lot of money involved. And with Pokemon cards, there's not very much money involved. So don't restrict yourself to Pokemon, but what you really should be thinking of is think of life in terms of being able to trade things that, buy low, sell high, right? That's all it is in the end. You know how it is, buy high, sell low, you idiot. No, I'm just kidding. But that's capitalism, isn't it? So all of capitalism is just, I'm Taco Bell and I produced a taco for 5 cents. Buy it from me for $2. And then you do, because, it's Taco Bell. And then you have diarrhea, and Taco Bell has billions of dollars. So that's all of capitalism, and you don't have to do it only with Pokemon. You should think of all of the things in life that you can do. Sometimes you're just trading time profitably. So if you're doing a service, like for example, I'm sitting here talking to you, well, I'm not producing a product, but I'm trading my time to make you this video. So it's kind of like that, right? I mean, you don't have to think about it only in the physical sense, like this is a physical product. But yeah, usually when you're trading things profitably, it's because you've figured out something that other people haven't figured out. So a lot of the time, all of the success comes from having some sort of surprising knowledge that ironically cannot be learned in college. Because if you could learn it in college, well, then everyone would know it, right? If you could learn it in this video, well, then everyone would know it, because everyone can watch this video. You typically know something private that other people don't know, and then you shut up and you don't share it with anyone until you're ready to retire, and then you write books about it. Okay, so Rage Quit then says, what cards products should you avoid? Well, that's easy, the ones that lose you money. And what card products should you aim for? The ones that make you money. I'm making a little bit of money on these guys. Oh my God, they're cool. Let me show you. These Hanafuda cards. Can you see that? Luigi's Mansion. You don't think people who played Luigi's Mansion might want a PSA 10 of that? Of course they're going to want a PSA 10 of that. Yeah, but how did I come across that? I just, I happened to notice that PSA grades Hanafuda cards, and I said, what kind of Hanafuda cards are there? And I'm like, oh, there's Mario cards, and they look rather good. And then I'm like, how many people know about Hanafuda cards? Not that many. So my eyes said opportunity, because I have this thing, I have this YouTube channel, and so I've worked, very hard on this YouTube channel, and now it's a tool for me to spread information, and sometimes the spreading of information raises the value of a product. So for me, it's not as simple as just buying cards and selling cards. I have an information platform, and people subscribe to it because they like to be informed, and this gives me sort of like a productivity that somebody who doesn't have this platform can't reach. They can't reach that level of productivity. But I didn't do this for free. I had to work really hard on it. And if you were to do it as well, and everyone else were to do it, it wouldn't be very productive anymore, because it'd be a service that's too available. So there'd be too many people trying to do the exact same thing. So a lot of times you have to do something original that nobody's doing, nobody's thinking about. The Hanafuda card is an example of being original. Here's another one, the Old Maid. Who was selling Old Maid before me? Basically no one. And then once I started selling Old Maid, it ironically pops up everywhere. All of a sudden, it's all over the internet. Same with this, poker cards. So I didn't, when I started selling poker cards, I'd seen them before, but I didn't know anyone selling them. And then once I started selling them, I saw poker cards all over the place. So what's clever here is I'm able to identify these products that probably should be popular, that just nobody's talking about. And then I give them, I introduce people to them. Here's another example. I saw not a single person was selling this before me. Let me show you. All right, so this guy right here. All right, this Pokemon top sticker. Nobody was selling these. And then once I started selling them, they're all over the place. So that's an example of me leveraging my platform and raising the value of the items that I purchased. And that's a very specific example that works for me. What works for you might be very different in life. And yeah, so good luck with that. But just keep your mind open to the reality that you can trade all kinds of things. Here's another one. Coins. Remember the coins? So I've made some money on coins, right? Actually, I've still got some coins to sell. But what should you go after and what should you avoid? It's all predictions, but for example, I can use the data I've gathered over time to see which particular Pokemon are doing well and which cards are doing well. But the pattern is clear. The card needs to be rare and popular. Those are the obvious, anyone who doesn't understand that. Sometimes the card doesn't need to be popular, but just rare. And then I can make it popular because I go, did you even know this existed? And people go, I did not know that existed. So rare is at least one of the things. There has been a card that breaks that pattern, and that would be the Evolving Skies Umbreon VMAX Alternative Art. And so he's not rare, and yet he just keeps going up in price. So does the price of the Evolving Skies booster boxes. So he just must be insanely popular to the point that the rarity doesn't matter. All right, well, anyways, I don't know if that helps you rage quit. Rage quit is kind of like asking, what stock do I buy next? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. In hindsight, if I knew what I knew today, I could tell you what you were supposed to have done is spend every single dollar on Evolving Skies booster boxes. You should have like 100 cases of them. So, but I didn't know that Evolving Skies booster cases were going to go from $100 to $350. Again, if I knew, I just would have bought nothing but those. I bought all kinds of diverse items, and I happened to have a good chunk of Evolving Skies because I had a feeling about them. They did very well. Some of my items didn't do well. So it's gambling. Trying to invest is gambling because, especially with, if you invest in Coca-Cola, it's not really a gamble, is it? They're going to make soda, and some fat guy like me is going to drink their soda. So that's not really a gamble, but it also isn't going to make you wealthy. It's not going to catapult you to wealth. The Coca-Cola stock's not going to triple in a year. So Pokemon triples in a year because it's highly speculative. Nobody really knows what's going on. It's like a gamble. And you can make an educated gamble, but Coca-Cola, it's more like securing your money because they're going to keep making soda and somebody's going to keep drinking it. Anyways, Ruben says, is Bofa real? Bofa D's nuts? All right, Ruben. Kiwi Guy says, thoughts on Elon Musk BBC interview. Elon looking a little fat, so those are my thoughts on that. Yeah, Elon Musk, that question's like, nobody's even going to remember that interview like a week from now, dude. You're putting that in my video? This video is going to be like a year old, and people are going to be like, what is he talking about? Elon Musk had some interview with the BBC guy, and the BBC guy keeps trying to ask Elon, like, oh, you removed misinformation. Why would you do that? Are you like you're evil, Donald Trump, or something like that? And Elon Musk is like, oh yeah, you guys are the misinformation guys, aren't you? And the BBC interviewer is like, what are you talking about? I don't represent BBC. Mr. Go says, a few days ago, you mentioned some books written by rich men that helped form you as you are. Yes, this is not even my final form. I get way fatter than this in the end. Also, I start to wear a top hat and a monocle. Could you imagine? Which books would you recommend reading? All of them. Thanks for always streaming TCC. I didn't stream today. Which books? So, when I was 22 years old, I started working for Coca-Cola, and it was a very isolated job. When I signed up for the job, they're like, you have to agree to work 20 hours a week. That is required. I'm like, okay. I didn't care at the time because I thought it was like every now and then you're going to have a rough week and it's going to be 20 hours of overtime. No, they meant every week for the entirety of the career, every single week. There were account managers who didn't take days off at all. They worked all 7 days. It blew my mind. It was the first time I'd ever been exposed to that. They worked all 7 days of the week, and they didn't go on vacation. They just worked. It was total insanity. Coca-Cola is hardcore, man. And so I had to sign a form saying I agree to the overtime when I got that job, and I didn't think much of it. But then I started working. It was like 12-hour day minimum. Some days it was like 14 to 16 hours. You got soft hands, brother. You only worked 10 hours a day. I remember when I worked part time, right? So that kind of stuff. But it was a really trying job, very tiring, but also well paying for uh, minimum wage in Missouri at the time was $7 an hour, and I was making about $12.50 an hour at Coca-Cola. So it felt like good pay because you would get that, and then you get 20 hours of times and a half pay, which was like a little over $18 an hour. So I felt I was making good money. I felt, but it was a tough job, and it was an isolated job, which is what I was getting to. It's a very isolated job. You don't have a manager, you don't have a coworker. Those don't exist at this job. So it's just you. And you get your iPod and fill it up with music, and then you get tired of the music, and because you're working for like 12 hours a day. And I started adding audiobooks to my iPod, and that changed my life. Okay, so if you could do one thing, get an iPod or an iPhone or whatever the F, and fill it up with a ton of books. And my books came from Pirate Bay for free because I was, cheap but also poor. I went to Pirate Bay and I went to their top 100 nonfiction books, and I just downloaded it and just listened to all of them. Literally, like all of them. I didn't discriminate. I just said whatever the most popular books are, that's what society thinks is great. I'm going to listen to it. And looking back on it at the age of 34, that is the most life-changing thing I did, was listen to all those books. Excuse me. I went to college twice. I actually went to college for a community college degree, and then I went to college for the 4-year computer science degree, right? Neither of those degrees taught me as much as these free books. They were free. I didn't even pay for them. I went into debt for the college for $50,000. They made me take classes like creative writing. Sit there, oh, I'm so creative. What a joke, dude. It was so stupid. You would sit there and write a story and then give it to your neighbor and read your neighbor's story and then give them a grade. That was creative writing. It was very stupid. But I paid, boy, I sure paid $4,000 for that. So, and trust me when I say there's plenty of other stupid classes like that at college. And then you get these stupid kids go to college and they say, oh, I don't like to have to pay back the debt that I agreed to take on. And so they say, well, now you're going to have to pay for it because I don't want to pay it. It's really just them saying I don't want to pay it, right? Correct? Because you can pay off a $50,000, $60,000 debt. And maybe it's more than that. Sorry that you spent so much at college, but you agreed to the loan. It's kind of an ironic thing, isn't it? Because oftentimes the argument for the student loan is something along the lines of, oh, they were young, they didn't know what they were getting into. They don't have the ability to be responsible financially at the age of 18. But it's funny because at the same time we say at the age of 14, they're ready to make a decision about whether or not to chop their nuts off or something like that. So, it's sort of that's sort of what's the word? A contradiction, maybe. Right? So it's a contradiction. But to say that somebody so young is so ready to make such a very large and complicated decision about being enabled to have children in the future, but 18-year-olds aren't capable of making financial decisions to go to college and try to become wealthy. So obviously that's a contradiction. So okay, that's a tangent. Let's talk about these books now. So anyway, so I'm at Coca-Cola, and I am working my fanny off listening to all these books. I listened to some of these books like 10 times over. They were so good. I was shocked at the level of knowledge you got from these books. Your parents are supposed to teach you stuff. Basically, this is the stuff your parents are supposed to teach. That's what was in these books. Your parents don't know this stuff. If your parents knew this stuff, you'll be from a rich family and not a poor middle-class family or a lower-class family. Okay, so this is the stuff that the successful families know, and you're not part of their family. But these guys happen to have written books, and so you're able to have a different daddy. So your other daddy is able to teach you stuff, and it's essential, guys. I mean, it's where all the real knowledge is. You know what school is? You go to school for technical information, how to do this, how to do that. You want to add numbers together on a matrix? Cool. Now you're like, ooh, wow, put on my Neo glasses. You want to get rich? You need to read a book about how to get rich. Well, it's funny because I took micro and macroeconomics and accounting. Those still don't teach you how to be rich. But there's a rich guy that can actually teach you how to get rich. And that's because the books are full of an understanding of what money truly is. And money really is energy. It represents human energy to be productive, right? So you have to produce something. That's what it is. I've produced sheep. I'd like to trade it for the corn that you produced, right? And you have to spend time producing sheep. You have to spend time producing corn, and then you trade it. So what a rich guy really is in the end is a guy who's very clever at trading. He produces something that he trades in an extremely imbalanced way. So he trades 10 hours of his time for 100,000 hours of everyone else's time. Doesn't that sound odd? How do you get such a great trade? I wish I could do that all the time. I wish I could take an hour of my time and trade it for 10 hours of everyone else's time. Well, there is a way to do that. You have to produce something that everyone wants, that you produce extremely cheaply. Great example is this video. So this video is going to take 50 minutes of my time to produce, or however long the video is. But then when you combine all of the people who watch it, let's say it gets 1,000 views and they watch 40 minutes each. Well, that's 40 minutes times 1,000. So I've taken 40 minutes of my time, but I've turned it into 40 minutes of 1,000 people's time. And so there's this weird, that's like a trick. It's like a mechanism, you know what I mean? That a person is able to do. And so Bill Gates is able to produce something like home computer software operating system, and he affects the whole world with that. And then he becomes a billionaire as a result. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make this imbalanced trade. I produce something that everyone wants, so I'm just one guy making it, and then everyone else gives me their time in exchange for it. Right? That's the actual concept of what money is. Doesn't matter if you're trading in the yuan, doesn't matter if you're trading in crypto or gold or whatever the F you're trading in. Doesn't matter if you're trading in sex favors. I don't know where I'm going with this. But the concept is you want to spend as little of your time drawing in as much of everyone else's time as possible. And you're able to do that. You have to have a distribution concept or strategy. You have to be able to distribute the product that you've created. And there has to be awareness of it, so people have to naturally know you exist and want it. And then it has to be something people agree to, right? Because capitalism is all about people voluntarily trading their time for whatever it is that you've produced, right? That's why capitalism is so good. So that's what it's all about in the end. That's the whole concept of money. Now, I've explained that to you like in 2 minutes here in this video. You can go through your entire college education and not understand that, because college isn't there to teach you to get rich. College is basically just there to give you some technical skills so that you can go make someone else rich, right? That's what it's really all about. Somebody else is building an asset. Jeff Bezos is building an asset called Amazon. It's his asset and his executives and his shareholder, whatever. It's his asset. It's not your asset, idiot, right? So you're going to go to school to learn how to work for Daddy Jeff Bezos, and you're going to build his asset, and he's going to dance on your grave. That's all it really is. So Jeff Bezos understands the importance of building that asset and having that uneven trade of time. He understands that backwards and forwards. You don't, because your dad didn't teach it to you, and your college certainly didn't teach it to you, but you sure went into debt for that college, and you sure are going to work for Jeff Bezos for the rest of your life. So the fastest way to actually catch up to Mr. Daddy Bezos is to go produce your own asset. That's why I say in my stream all the time, I say you have to go start your own business. You call it a business if you want. You call whatever it is. I don't care what you call it, but it's an asset. You have to own something that you're developing. And if you're not developing that thing, you will never be wealthy. And then other people say, well, not everyone can own a business, right? That's correct. Not everyone can own a business. So you're going to develop your asset, and Jeff Bezos is going to crush you with his asset because his is way better than yours. And so that's all part of it. It's a competition, right? So it's not like up for interpretation. It's not like poetry or anything. Some assets perform better than others and actually satisfy a customer. And so not only do you have to have all that, like you're trying to get that uneven trade, you're trying to develop an asset, you're trying to develop something that people actually want. And this just requires an analysis of the world and an analysis of people. So, and then once you figured all that out, somebody else does it better than you. So the world, the world in the end is this very heavy competition. And to the degree that you are clever and good at competition, you'll become wealthy. And to the degree that you aren't good at clever at this competition, you will just become Jeff Bezos's pawn soldier. And that's all right. If you are a pawn soldier in the end, accept your fate and don't stress over it. So that's what I think happens I've been both liberal and conservative, and I think that's one of the things liberals do. They look at a power structure, a hierarchy. Everything's in a hierarchy, and they get stressed out over it. They say it's not right that this guy's at the top and I'm in the middle or at the bottom. They can't handle that somebody's above them. And so my other advice is when you understand the extent or the limit of your abilities, just accept your place and just be like, this is fine. I'm fine. I've got TV, I've got the internet, and I'm going to die anyways one day. I don't know. Right. So you need to accept your fate, accept who you are. But, be sure that you at least try. So there's people who don't realize that there's a game being played. They don't realize the asset game. And so they never even try because their dad didn't teach them and they didn't read the books about this stuff. So the books are exceptionally important. So getting back to which particular books, I read many books. There were self-help books, books on how to hire people, books on how to start businesses, books on managing, books on investing, books on being poor and investing. There's like a million books, books on habits, books on addiction. Why stop reading? Just read all of them. And you start to get a generalized concept of the whole world. But there were some really good ones. Like I think there was a book it was like Mahaley, Csikszentmihalyi or something like that, called Flow. There was Brian Tracy. He was really good. He wrote lots of great books. Brian Tracy. He's all about kind of understanding some psychology. So Brian Tracy, he likes to understand business and psychology. But then he mixes that in with a little bit of like the whole, general self-help books. Um, there's books that are not about finances, like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. A fun fact, I think he was a Missourian, Dale Carnegie. Um, Stephen something, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. That was pretty cool. I kind of forget all that now. It's been a long time. I don't, maybe I need to listen to that again. Warren Buffett wrote some good books. Did you know that? Warren Buffett. Yeah, he's pretty clever too. They all have their unique contributions and ideas, and the more you absorb their knowledge, the more you'll be able to question the direction that you're going, right? So a lot of us are just sort of doing what we're told to do, the conventional wisdom. And I can guarantee you, going with the conventional wisdom will always keep you poor because all of the money, again, I don't know if I said this at the beginning of the stream, all the money is made in the information that other people don't know. That's where all the money's made. So like, in this card business, the stuff you don't know that I do, that's what makes me rich. And when they start teaching that in college, I'll have too much competition. So the profit margins will fall out. And so because too many people will do exactly what I'm doing. So all of the money is in the information that's unknown and it's been discovered by some explorer who has not shared it yet. Okay, so yeah, conventional wisdom will keep you living sort of like middle class. You'll never become super wealthy. So develop your asset, invest, invest, invest. Trade your time in a profitable way for other people's time, right? So if you spend 10 hours, you need to trade it for someone else's 20 hours. That's it. And that's all that money really is. Money, you think of money as like a physical thing. It's not, it's an abstract thing. And that's hard to understand unless somebody actually unlocks it. And you just heard me say it for free. So it's in your brain now. Dr. Disappointment says, where do babies come from? You got spit out of your mom's pussy. Mudkit Master says, what is the value of error cards, miscut, square cut, OC grades, modern, vintage? Are they worth grading? How valuable can they be? All cards are valued based on what a buyer and seller agree to. So if you can convince somebody that an error card is super valuable and they give you $100 for it, well, then it's worth $100. The question is, how do people really feel about them? I think with some error cards, they look so interesting that people are like, I gotta buy this, because it's so weird. And they do happen to be rare. Like for example, the no hollow error Dragonite. So that's one. I spent 16,000 on it. Maybe it's not worth 16,000, but that's up for the market to decide. That's up for people to aggregately decide by voting with their money. That's how the prices are determined. And it's just like, what is how many people know about it? How many people find the story of the error fascinating? And so all those are all those things are necessary. I would say that there's quite a bit of money in error cards because one of the funny things is we're always looking for rarity, right? What did I say earlier? Rarity and popularity. So sometimes error cards are much more rare than regular cards. So then it just becomes a factor of the other issue. Are they are they popular as well? Jesus Juice, how to get a girlfriend. Wow, that's like an actual, hey dad, how do I get a girlfriend? Um, you need to have a 10-inch dick. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, so how to get a girlfriend, huh? This is interesting. You just go around asking every girl you can, hey, will you be my girlfriend? So, you ever heard Nikes do it or whatever? Just get out there and just start asking every girl until you get one. So you could do that. But let's say you're actually trying to increase your odds that they say yes. Now that's a different story. When I was younger, I found that I was extremely well written. So I could write poetry. I could write very cute letters. There was a girl who I had a huge crush on. We were kind of secretly in love, and we would write love letters back and forth. And I was just writing, dude. I was just writing really well the whole time. And so much later in life, it's no surprise to me that I eventually get a job talking. So because that's very close to writing, but I write better than I talk because talking is very it's whatever the word is where you have to act immediately. I can't remember the word of it. But writing, I get to sit down and analyze what I'm writing. I get to sit down and go, how does this sound in my ear? So if I spend a lot of time writing, it gets even better. This works on girls. It turns out girls love to read. So writing's a way to get a girlfriend. But what's really happened in this example that I've given you is I've impressed a girl somehow. So, and that's all it is, right? Girls want to be impressed. And I would say be sure you impress them with your authentic self. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. So if you're a big nerd like me, just go be a big nerd. Don't try to be like a cool guy because you're not a cool guy. And eventually they'll figure out that you're not a cool guy. You know what I mean? So try to find somebody who will love you for who you are. And then you have to be in shape. That's not an option. So if you're a fat guy who's playing video games all day, stop playing video games for a while and go hit the gym. You have to. You don't have an option because all of dating it's a mating competition, just like in the wild. Girls want the bull, they don't want the beta male, right? Right. So that's annoying. And there's exceptions for everything, but the general rule is true. You know what I mean? So if you're in shape, your odds go way up. And if you're out of shape, now you got to find some girl who likes fat guys. And there are girls who like fat guys, but there are far fewer and in between. And there's plenty of fat guys already competing for those girls. So you need to go get in shape. So be in shape, be passionate, be happy. Is actually a surprising one. Girls do not want to be around a grumpy asshole. You know what I mean? So girls do not want a grumpy asshole. So yeah, I feel like I'm just saying, I feel like all I'm doing is explaining sort of like the root behavior is that you need to be a catch. The root behavior is that you need to be like this genetically superior specimen. That's all it is almost, right? And so you take the cards you've been dealt, that would be your genetics, and you sharpen them up, you make them look as good as you can, and you go out and you say, date me, date me, date me, date me. Here's who I am, date me. Here's the specific group of genes that I offer you, date me. And girls will use their gene identifier in their brain and they'll say, those are the genes that turn me on, and then they'll date you. That's all it is. That's all it is. It sounds kind of like almost unfair or fated, or like maybe I'm taking too biological of an approach, but that's all it is. It's really that. Like, what is attraction? Can you tell me what attraction is? What is beauty? Can you tell me what beauty is? No, you can't, because you probably haven't thought about it for very long, but all it is gene selection. That's all it is. Girls are looking you up and down and saying, my child will look like him, and I will carry that child in my belly for 9 months, and then I'll raise it for the rest of my life. Do I want to be stuck with this guy's kid for the rest of my life? And a lot of them are saying, F that guy, no. So stand out from other men, get yourself ahead, be competitive. You have to be competitive. I don't know why our society is so against that these days about being competitive. It's the only way, man. Look at the wild, look at the jungle. We all came out of the jungle. We haven't evolved since the jungle. You know what I mean? We're not like some new species of animal that doesn't care about gene selection and stuff like that. We are exactly the same as we were probably 2,000 years ago. So you're an animal from the jungle, and you need to be the king, the king of the lions or whatever. And so get out there and sharpen up your genes as much as you can. And then use your intelligence to talk to as many women as quickly as possible. And make sure she likes you for who you are. So don't pretend to be someone else. Let her know your interests. Let her know your personality type. And if you got a bunch of psychological disorders, problems, she's going to dump you even if you are attractive. So you can't have brain problems. You can't have body problems. You got to be handsome and you got to make money. Now, if you're not making money, You have to have signs that you're going to make money, because I think girls have this ability to tell who's going to be making money in the future. So lots of energy, lots of passion, a plan, and she just wants to see you putting in a lot of effort. So that's a sign that you're going to make money one day. So if you're poor today, you have to show her this display that you will be wealthy eventually. And girls care about that a lot, and they should care about that a lot. I don't believe in the word like gold digger. I don't believe in that. That's like saying, oh, well, men just want beautiful women. Yeah, that's what men want. They want beautiful women, and women want rich men who are also kind of beautiful. So stop, get over it. It's what women want. So you're marketing to them, and give them what they're asking for. Mr. Go says, hey, TCC, I have a small but growing eBay store. And I was recognized by my local post office as an online retailer based on my daily shipments. Last month, I was contacted. They offered me a cheaper rate of shipping and asked me to sign up as a business account. I never heard you mention stuff like that, even though you always talk about the mailman shipping orders. Yeah, I've never been offered that before, so it sounds like you're getting a nice deal. Maybe I should ask them. I print my labels from a company that's called Stamps.com. And I've heard Stamps argue that they already have a low rate, so maybe that's the reason why. I don't know why. Yeah, very funny. She says, why are you gay? Because I love to kiss men. Wife's boyfriend says, will you go out with me, mister? Yes. She says, do you like Charizard? Do you like Charizard? A. Perez says, who's your favorite mod? I love all my children equally. I have to say, I'm very impressed that Alex has basically been in almost every stream for like 3.5 years. All the mods contribute. I like all the mods that have been around for a very long time. You guys have been around for a long time. It's very impressive. I mean, it's like been 3.5 years. But Alex, I don't know how he does it. He's like in almost every stream. So Alex, sitting at home in your chair all day. Who's okay? But I like all the older mods. I like them a lot, by the way. Do you have any games on your? You got any games on your phone? Why did the chicken cross the street? Because it wanted to be on the other side of the street, is most likely. Update on Mr. Junior. I don't have a baby yet. I'm 34 and I don't have a baby. My wife is turning 28 this year, and she has told me. Well, she told me she had baby fever last year, and this year, well, she just maybe a couple months ago got off birth control. Maybe like 2 or 3 months ago. It hasn't been very long at all, because she's got the baby fever. But now she's saying, well, we should go traveling around the world before I get pregnant. So that's the update on Mr. Junior. The last Minecraft live stream was March 17, 2019. What are you going to do to address this injustice? All right, guys, Minecraft stream. Is pee stored in the balls? Pee is stored in the bladder. That was from, I believe, Mary. Mary's been around for a long time. Russ says, when is the mod party? Meet and greet. I do want to meet up in Lake of the Ozarks pretty soon. I mean, if I were going to meet up in the Lake of the Ozarks, I would do it in the summertime, maybe during 4th of July. So that would be the best time for people. And I wouldn't just invite the mods. Probably anyone who wanted to come over could come over. NFS Sweet says, what would you recommend collectors who also want to invest in the hobby to a certain extent do in terms of buying and selling cards? Oh, right. So your question is the same one that Rage Quit Bid is asking. How do I make the most money on the cards? And again, it's kind of like asking me which stock to buy next. It's like, well, if I had a crystal ball, I could just tell you exactly what to buy. So similar to what I told him, like in hindsight, I could have told you the best performing asset that I saw was the Evolving Skies booster box, which isn't a slab at all. But I've had slabs that have jumped in price too. I've had slabs that double and triple in price, but they're much trickier because it's like they're so varied. Here's an example, right? So here we are. So this guy, I think I bought him for 5,000. It's in reverse. So I bought him for 5,000, and then right after buying him, he sells an auction for 15,000. So that's pretty good. But you just never know. It's all guessing. But you need to make sure that the item you're buying is popular and rare. I could probably write a book on this subject and go into all the details of the weird anomalies I've seen, and it would help you. Johnny Two Names says, I love this idea. Finally, the world will know more about Mr.'s printer. If food prices double again, what do you think? Well, they didn't double in the first place. What do you think will happen to the average American mentally? We're soft people who haven't had to survive ever. Yeah, so if the signs of hyperinflation start to show up, I bet your ass, or you bet your ass, I bet your ass, you bet your ass that rich guys will start to take their US dollars and they'll start to buy something like gold or Bitcoin or real estate or oil or crops. Okay, they're going to get out of the U.S. dollar. So then these people who are selling those assets, like the oil and such, they'll all of a sudden have a bunch of dollars, except they'll have those dollars at a very profitable rate because the price of oil will go up. The price of gold will go up. So if you bought gold for $20, now you're selling it for 40, so you got all these dollars in his profit. Well, what will that gold guy do? He'll turn around and he'll buy real estate. He won't buy gold again because then he's just going to be back in gold. So he's going to go buy real estate with that money. The price of real estate is going to go up. So it's sort of like this snake eating its own tail. It's going to be absolutely horrible if we hit hyperinflation. And it will happen very quickly. It won't happen. It'll be like the stock market crash. It'll be like that. But it'll be an inflation crash. So you won't like it at all. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a very high chance that a populist gets elected. Donald Trump would be an example of a populist. And in Germany, that was the rise of Hitler. I've recently heard some of Hitler's speeches on TikTok because they pop up, and they're really surprisingly similar to the things you hear today. So it's kind of scary, actually. Of course, he was like crazy about getting rid of the Jews, right? Because he believed they were the ones that did it to us, or did it to the Germans. And I feel like, I don't know if we would have that happen a second time, but you're going to hear a populist rise up and blame someone, and then you could really see the country split apart. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if World War II could happen all over again in the same way. I certainly don't think that it's going to be the Jews. But I think that you could see the country split. That could happen between the left and the right. I don't know how that would happen without a civil war either. You know what? Here's what no, I have thought about this extensively. So here's what I actually believe will happen. Okay, so a populist will be given power over the country, and eventually it will be a socialist populist. So that's what I believe will happen. It'll be communist or socialist because the poor people will vote for money, and then we will go bankrupt. We'll have hyperinflation, and the rich people will leave the country. That's what I actually believe will be the outcome. And America will become an armpit country, really, real stinky, real fast. All the people who have the means to pack their bags up in America and move out will go to the UAE or whatever country promises to protect rich people. That's where they'll go. And so you will see the most rapid decline of wealth in America you've ever seen, because they already do. If you didn't know this, rich people like to buy secondary homes, international homes, in places like New Zealand just for this kind of collapse. So that is a possibility. But this is like a doomsday scenario. What could happen is we just look at the slow-moving train that's going to hit us and go, oh, we need to be a hardworking, productive people, and we need to spend less and earn more and export goods and not be ripped off by other countries. And so we could just change the direction we're going and fix it all. America's not about to drop off of a cliff tomorrow, but the BRICS nation gold-backed currency development is very troubling, very, very troubling. And France having a meeting with Xi Jinping and then going back and saying we shouldn't rely on the US dollar so much, very troubling. America should move swiftly to kick that guy out of power, because if you're part of Europe and you're not part of the Western alliance, you need to go. You need to be out. It needs to be the United States and its allies taking care of each other, being nice to each other, and being very strong together. And if that's not it, you got to go real fast. It has to be obvious that you can't come back and say that with no repercussions. So I don't know how France is doing business internationally, but the U.S. market probably shouldn't be available to France until Macron's gone. What would you recommend collectors who also want to invest? Oh, I already read that one. Sorry about that. Robot Devil has a whole bunch of questions. What's your favorite Pokemon card and why? I used to have a favorite, probably like Dark Magneton or Shining Tyranitar. I've owned them for like 3 years now. Over time, it's just whatever card I most recently purchased that really was a good deal. So here's some great examples. So the Misaki Gengar 10 for $12,000 and this $800 Perfect Absol. I most recently bought those, and so I get immense pleasure from that. More pleasure than I get from cards that used to be my favorite. It's just whatever I'm working on now. What's your most valuable card in your collection? It's the Gold Star Charizard. I bought it in an auction on eBay. What advice do you have for someone who wants to start collecting Pokemon cards? Don't spend all your money because you'll have buyer's regret. So I feel like everyone does that though. Oops, I did it. So once you start collecting, it becomes almost like an obsession, and you will empty your bank account to zero, and then you will panic. And especially if you have any issue at all pop up, like a broken car or medical expense, now you're going to have to rush to sell your cards. Anytime you have to sell your cards quickly, you get a bad price. So yes, so don't spend all your money. Spend half your money. I don't know. Just set the amount you're allowed to spend, and for the love of God, don't go over that amount. So that's the hardest thing for newbies. The other thing is newbies don't always understand that the addiction makes them like a card more than they realize it. So some cards I really couldn't let go of. I just like them that much. And the other cards, I just kind of impulse bought them. And so I'm looking at them like couple months later, like, what am I doing with this card? Why did I even buy this at the time? I was just like shopping high. So shopping can be like an addictive high, and you've been warned. So that's all I can tell you. You've been warned. You know now. So yes, take it slow. Make sure the Pokemon card you go after is exactly what you love. What are your thoughts on the current state of the Pokemon card market and its popularity? Oh my God, I can't find anything in the market anymore, and it's all remarkably expensive. So the bubble is not popped like people said it would. What did happen though, modern cards became very affordable. Okay, so I was like looking at a Rainbow Toxtricity, and it was like 40 bucks for a 10. In the past, that card would have been like 150 bucks for a 10. Now it's 40 bucks. So the bubble, I suppose you could say the bubble has popped for modern cards. It turned out modern cards were not valuable. But for the stuff that I actually want, that stuff's insanely expensive. It has not gone down. I can't even find it anymore. There's 0 of them listed. That was why I rushed to buy the Gengar, because he was listed for 14K for a long time. There was just like one on the market. Then he disappeared, and he was just gone. I couldn't find a Misaki Gengar for like 6 months or 3 or 4 months or something. And then the moment he popped up at 12, I was like, snatch, because it was lower than 14. I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever see it again. So my thoughts on the current state of the Pokemon card market is that, well, this is the summertime, and generally the summertime is the worst time of the year for sales. Right after tax season, sales drop off, and I think people just go outside and they take a break from collecting. But it picks up again in August, and I think the market has expanded to lots of other TCGs are being looked at now, like Weiss and Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy. So I would say Pokemon has more competition, but from what I've seen, the Pokemon card market is on fire, dude. You just like the Evolving Skies Umbreon still going for 900. Nobody predicted that. Everyone said it was going to crash tomorrow. I said it was going to crash tomorrow. So when you look back on that, you go, this has got to be on fire. People just want it so bad. And the Evolving Skies booster box going to 350 is completely crazy to me, because it did that in like a year. Okay, how do you think the recent surge in popularity of Pokemon cards has affected the community and the hobby as a whole? Very positively. So let's talk about the community. There's a lot of gatekeeping, and I think it's extremely stupid. But really what it is, it's greed and it's selfishness and it's boohoo. I wish I'd bought more of it. So there's people who took the risk of buying a lot of Pokemon cards, and people who did not, probably because they had a more negative view of it. And now those guys who took the risk because they are truly addicted to the cards, they're up here because they happen to invest at a very good time. And all the people who sat back saying negative things like, oh yeah, nobody will buy this, because there are tons of people who say that card will never be worth twice what it's worth today. So lots of negativity, and those same guys turn around and say, oh, it's in a bubble, it's going to pop any day, and oh, you're just in it for the money and all this other I shouldn't curse, but yeah, there's tons of negativity. You know, I was sort of used to this from the Game Economist, my other YouTube channel. Lots of negativity in the gaming community, but there is some insufferably greedy people in the way that they speak and their jealousy. But you know, I suppose that's what a collection is, isn't it? It's like the whole concept of a collection is that somebody else wants it badly. They look at it with jealousy, with envy. That when you go and you look at the Mona Lisa, you're like, what if I owned the Mona Lisa, right? And so it's the same way with any collection. It's all jealousy driven, and that shows up in the language that the community uses. So there's all this gnashing of teeth. There's all this, oh, well, stupid, I hate it. Oh, it's going to crash any moment, and then I'll buy in. So a lot of that. It's not going to crash, apparently. But maybe it will. Maybe if the economy does bad enough, it will crash. I don't know. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, so I think it's been, for people who are truly addicted to Pokemon cards, all of this demand for Pokemon cards is extremely good for them, because if you are addicted, you happen to have a lot of it. Okay, that's my concept. If you were truly addicted to the cards, you probably spent every freaking dollar of your money on them. and then they turn around and double and triple and quadruple in price, right? And then there's the people who are like sort of fans, and those are the gatekeepers who are very negative and like, oh yeah, you shouldn't invest in Pokemon. I don't think they actually bought that many because they don't actually believe in it in the same way. As a person who's addicted to the cards myself, I watch people who didn't bother to buy as much as me complain about how, oh well, you were just buying it for money. No, I was buying it because I'm mentally insane. I can't not buy it. I spent every single dollar of my money on this stuff because I can't stop myself. And you're sitting over there all negative and easily not able to purchase the cards and watching other people like me get rich on it. And I think to myself, you're the person who didn't actually have that same addiction as I did. So I look at you as somebody with a lesser addiction of it. And so I don't need your advice on who's good or bad for the hobby, because I know that I'm addicted to it and you're not. You know what I mean? So, and I don't go around shoving that in your face telling you, oh, well, you're just not as addicted to the card hobby as me. But I find it incredibly like disingenuous when they say that stuff. As somebody who did spend every dollar of his money on the hobby, it's very disingenuous for someone else to come over and talk about how, oh, well, you're not a real collector. It's like, you don't even know, man. You don't have the same gut feeling, the same brain feeling I do about collecting cards. And that's why you're not in the same position as I am today. You know what I mean? If you had jumped in both feet all the way deep into the hobby, you would have had something. You know, I don't know how much you would have had, but you would have had something, and you would have seen the value of that rise too. And then you'd be like me, doing a little dance. But no, lots of negativity, lots of jealousy. So your average player says, why did you choose to become a rip and shipper and not stick to long and short form content YouTuber? Question 2, how do you feel about the state of the channel and business? Blah, blah, blah. So your average player, rip and ship was something that I had conceptualized already in the past when I was very scrappy making my way through college. I ran away from home when I was 17, and I constantly had to sort of survive. And so I had been selling stuff on eBay since I was like 14 years old. And eBay is a form of distribution of goods. And so around the time I had met my wife, but she was my girlfriend back then, my wife, I was still selling things on eBay, but I was thinking about new methods of distribution. And one of the methods I had in mind was YouTube. And so somewhere out on the internet, I don't know where it is, it's lost now, somewhere out on the internet, there's a YouTube channel I created where I was taking pictures of the items for sale and putting them into sort of like a picture gallery that would play on YouTube to sell those goods. It never took off, it never worked, but that YouTube channel's out there somewhere. I just don't know how to find it anymore. I don't know what it was called. So I'd already done this. Now, Rip and Ship, the reason Rip and Ship worked out was because it was a live stream. And at the time, I already had a successful YouTube channel, The Economist, and I was live streaming over there. So I just combined these two ideas, selling on YouTube, selling live. And it was like this. I was like, home shopping channel. That's what we're doing. We're doing a home shopping channel for Pokemon cards. So it wasn't that complicated. What was interesting is that I was the only one doing it on YouTube. I think the only one doing Pokemon cards on YouTube. Question 2, how do you feel about the state of your channel and business? Doing extremely well. Anything you plan to advance or change in the future to keep it sustainable? I want to hire somebody to stream for me. So preferably, I'd like it to be a nerdy girl, okay, because I'm already a nerdy guy. And so if there was a personality that was a nerdy girl, I feel like I chase girls away, actually. You know, I feel like we have a real sausage fest going in my stream. And so I would like that diversity to a girl who's not crazy like I am and totally insulting like I am, because I have a very disagreeable nature. And she can run the stream and be all nice to people, and then I'll have my, more male-oriented sausage party with all the horribleness to it. So that's what I would like. I haven't had any girls say, "Oh, I'd like to do this." So, but also I haven't really posted for a job. So, but what's very important is you have to come out here. So I think that's the hard part. And it almost seems like I could just put out a job, a hiring form out here, and see if somebody bites. I don't know. How much is your Pokemon collection worth, really? Says Zach. It's an Ask Me Anything. A lot. I don't have a dollar amount. Actually, it's not worth anything until it's sold, correct? So that depends on whether I actually cash out and sell it all. So it's worth nothing. All it's worth is a Pokemon card. But in theory, it's worth a lot. Levia said, actually, one of the things I've been thinking about with my collection recently, selling off a fraction of it, a portion of it, and cashing that into like stocks. We were having like tornado winds out here in Lake of the Ozarks, and I just thought to myself, I was like, what if I lost my whole collection? All that work for nothing. So I feel like I should take a break from expanding the physical collection, maybe even sell off a fraction of it that I'm not as attached to, and then build up a position in the stock market. And I don't think the stock market performs as well as Pokemon. I make more money in Pokemon. I just do. I know for a fact I make more money in Pokemon cards than the stock market. But a tornado or a house fire isn't going to carry my stock market stocks away, you know? So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm thinking about diversifying in order to protect what I already have. So Levia says, can you adopt me? I would never adopt anybody. I hate adoption. What was your favorite home cooked food growing up? Favorite home cooked food. Oh, my mother had this recipe called 4-layer delight. It was a type of cake. See, fat guy food, and it had a crunchy, crispy bottom, and then it was like chocolate jello, and then a sort of cream. No, it was a cheesecake cream. That's what it was. It was a cheesecake, and then the very top of it had whipped cream on it. It was so delicious, so delicious. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Says Mister. Do you think crypto will make a comeback? I don't think crypto's going anywhere. I think the bubble popped on crypto around November 2021. So I've shared this many times. I think that one of the problems with crypto is that it essentially functions as a pyramid scheme for hype men. And that's what you had in November 2021. But I've said this already, okay? So for the record, cryptocurrency does have a legitimate use in our society. I think that cryptocurrency will make an excellent tool for the government to spy on you one day. And so the government will know what you spend, how you spend it. It will gather all kinds of data on you. And I believe there will be eventually, I don't know when, but there will be a government digital currency, and it'll use technology similar to a blockchain. As for Bitcoin and all that, it's so hard to imagine China allowing Bitcoin to operate in its country, because a truly unowned crypto, you'd think that's so brilliant, we should all use it and buy into it. Yeah, but if it ever actually challenged the dollar, if it could, because that's what it is, it's a challenger to the dollar, right? People around the world keep their currency in dollar, keep their wealth in dollars. Well, if they sold their dollars off and kept their wealth in Bitcoin, that is a challenge to the US dollar. And it's a challenge to this BRICS currency too. So real governments with real power, with real militaries, will never truly accept Bitcoin. And you have to accept that. But it's fun, it's cool. I actually found that it was useful last year. Mr. Haggai from Israel, he was buying some cases of Pokemon cards for me, and he couldn't do that over PayPal, but he was able to do it over crypto. So, it's got some uses. I think you're able to make money in crypto if you're really skilled at it or lucky. But, it does not make up any significant portion of my investment portfolio. And where it goes from here is a curious thing. I don't know. What is your opinion of Bud Light and Nike using a sick tranny as their spokesperson? It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Bud Light's brilliant. I hate looking at that the college educated lady with her toothy mouth who's like, yes, I'm a businesswoman. There's something very smarmy and annoying about it all. It's brilliant. It's so smart. Here you are putting Bud Light's name in my video because what they've done is they've created viral content as viral negative content. And so Bud Light has now been solidified as a word or a concept or whatever in your. I should go hire some transsexual spokesperson for my company, because then everyone will be saying Cardconomist and I'll get all the free advertising. So it's been absolutely a huge success for them. I believe that people on the conservative right will probably boycott the drink, maybe for the rest of their lives or for a while, but you will never forget the name Bud Light. So Bud Light has successfully gotten very cheap viral marketing. Very cheap. Yes, Bud Light has been rocketed to the top of the internet because of the transsexual spokesperson. And all of the other companies will continue to do this because of that. When you stop talking about it is when it will no longer be effective advertising. As long as you talk about it for free, it's extremely effective advertising. So they were making the right choices. Miss Dorr says, do you think that New Jersey art teacher has a nice butt? And do you think she should be fired for having such a nice butt? No clue what you're talking about. Mr. Ching Own times 2 says, do you ever worry about being assassinated by your mailman? Um, no. I do. We do occasionally talk about security at home. So we're armed and we've got all kinds of security measures at home to protect ourselves. Uh, we worry about theft and stuff like that. We most recently think we had a porch pirate take a package from us. So that's just something that any card business will have to deal with. And we are discussing most recently some pretty new advanced ideas on making sure that we protect the cards that we have. So, but that's it. And I don't think a lot about being assassinated, and I hope I don't get assassinated. That's the end of the questions. What was that? 55 minutes? Is that long enough for you guys? So that was me. That was my Ask Me Anything video, my questions and answers video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more videos like this, let me know. And I will see you guys next time.